Take freedom from a cold dead hands. We're locked in love for the last days. Cause living on American gangsters. Ready to die for this land.
Consistent with my real gender.
Ready to die for this land.
Welcome to the Patriot Punkcast. I am your host, Chase Matheson, and tonight we are trying out Rumble Studio. So if you experience any technical difficulties, please let us know. We will be able to bring up the live chats a lot more. We're going to be interacting a lot more in the live chats with the commenters, especially on Rumble. And we may have some issues dropping the Facebook and YouTube feed from what I'm reading. So we're gonna try to see if we can get through that a little bit. Tonight we are going to be discussing the Methadone mayhem that is about to unfold in Putnam County. Some of you are familiar with, some of you aren't. There has been a methadone clinic trying to come to Putnam County. They've been struggling to find a location. They went to Putnam, then they went to Overton. Now they're back in Putnam, and everything came to a head on, what was it, Wednesday? And we're going to get into the details of how that unfolded, if you guys actually ever had an option of not having a methadone clinic. We're also going to discuss the Fort Liberty, formerly known as Fort Bragg, soldier who was arrested after the SPLC and News Channel 5 Phil Williams started looking into some of the hate groups here in Nashville. Before we get started, make sure you smash that like button, share this show with your friends. The easiest way for us to grow is to meet new people. Hopefully we've got some new people watching us this evening, and you will hear us talk about repeatedly over the next few months. Help us reach 500,000 views on our Rumble channel. If you're not following us on Rumble, hop on over there right now at Patriot Punk Network. You can also just search for the Patriot Punkcast and you will see us. 500,000 views on an alternative platform like Rumble. I know it's becoming more mainstream, but it's still it's an accomplishment. I'm really thankful and appreciative of everyone who has helped me get there, even the people who are watching just out of pure hate. Tonight, you are going to meet one of the people from our intro song, and some of you are going to be surprised to learn that he is not African American. But before we get started, let's bring Mr. Daniel Wagner in. Oh, that's hold on here, Daniel. What happened here? Stop screen. There you go. And you're pixelated again and muted.
Yes, I am muted, and that is my fault. I am no
All
longer
right.
muted.
And you're no longer pixelated.
I'm here in body and spirit at least. I will try my best to participate in the conversation tonight. If anybody wants to reach me, you're going to have to call me by landline, I guess.
No, you're good now. Now you look perfect. It's straight.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah. So, well, as perfect as you can.
Yes, I can.
Yep. So we'll get into the. Let's go ahead and bring Will on real fast because I know where he's working on a timer, and then I'll go through the normal like little advertiser spiel real quick. But I'm excited to get Will on here. It's a little bit different kind of a guest, and I want to hear his insight into what's going on. So without any further ado, let's bring on Will Champlin. How are you, Will? Oh, let's unmute you real quick. Hold on. I think you're muted.
Yep. There you go.
There we go. How are you, Will?
Awesome. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. As some of our viewers, because just the way, I'm not a professional video editor, the intro song and where we identify who the artist is happens to pop up at the tail end of Bryson Gray's face from a rally. So I had someone ask, and they thought you might be African American, and I said, no, you need to watch tonight's show. That's my bad. So I promise we will fix that when we get around to it. But tell everybody who you are and what you do.
All right. Yeah, my name is KillWill, and I'm an artist, self-made producer and musician, and lately last couple of years I kind of been cooking up a little bit of like more red pill music, teetering in that Tom McDonald lane, a little bit rapping, singing, and just making content, man. It's just like sometimes I did a couple of these last videos I did with playing along to, like, the tones of like Kamala's speech and stuff like that, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. That was
I did that too. So it's like, get a little humor and music, and sometimes I just try to break the algorithm, like, as that's the hustle and the grind. So
yeah, well,
That's what all we can do, man.
yeah.
Where in the country are you located?
Believe it or not, I'm in LA.
LA, Los Angeles. For those who don't know, isn't that the city? What is LA known for people who aren't from LA?
I mean, you got Hollywood, but that's just such a small clique that.
Is it poop on the streets? I'm guessing poop on the streets. Is that San Francisco, or is that
not
another?
like San Francisco? Yeah, not like San Francisco, or what's the other place? There's one other city.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You're from
Like
California.
Minnesota, maybe, like Minneapolis. That's Walls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And while we normally have Tennessee native guests on for the most part, you actually have been to Tennessee. Where you may not live in Tennessee, but you came to
I
Tennessee.
used to live there.
Did you used to live there?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that
I
is-
lived there for a couple of years. Like, after college, I went to school at Berkeley in Boston. From Berkeley College. So like,
I was not aware of that. Yeah. So we had you out for the Let's Go Brandon Freedom Rally, and you participated in that.
That was ages ago. I know. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seemed like it was just yesterday.
Yeah, it was quite some time ago. But yeah. So I lived in Franklin from like 2007 to like 11, and then
Back when it was affordable to live in Franklin.
Yeah.
yeah, and then my daughter came about in LA, so I stuck around. So
Well, before we get into the politics and everything, I really want to get some of your insight as someone who's, and I didn't know this, who's lived in Tennessee and in LA, where you might think some of our current direction might be taking the Bible Belt. So if Daniel, let me see real quick, if you'll bring up that. So if you want to support the Patriot Punk Network, please visit patriotpunknetwork.com. There you can check out some of the videos that we've done. We've got Putnam County Sheriff's Office Exposed is something that we've been pushing really heavily this month, especially this week. We've also got at the very start of that where we infiltrated a group called Guardian Rebellion. And I don't know if you've heard of any of them, but Guardian Rebellion is one of those eco activists. Some call them an eco terror group, ran by people who are with the people that block off highways and throw paint on buildings and do all the crazy stuff. It's really interesting stuff there. We've also got over on the news tab a lot of local news stories that nobody else in Tennessee really covers, and it's local news, but whereas history doesn't rhyme, or doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. Local politics is the same way. Something that's happening in your town has probably happened a few towns over not that long ago. And it's important that we educate ourselves and stay connected so that we understand where some of this corruption might be hiding. Now, while you're over there, don't forget to check out the support tab where you can help us fund the work that we do. It's a tough struggle out there, guys. And one of the things that, we pride ourselves on is we don't take any money from corporate sponsors or big advertisers. We don't have, I guess in the music business, they would be like a producer or an agent. We don't have anything like that. We don't have PR guys. It's me, Daniel, my girlfriend, and a couple of family members when they have some chance. So anything you can do, help us buy some biscuits or some gas, or become a monthly subscriber. And here in just a few short weeks, you will get early access to some of the additional podcasts that Daniel and I are working on. And
or beard care products.
Yeah, maybe. I'd have to grow one first, but we're not going to go through the normal Kirby video today, just because we're pressed for time. We might show it at the very end because I do fund this show myself, and it's one of those things where I need to get a little bit of a shameless plug in. I have been in the Kirby business for my entire life, so I've probably forgotten more about the subject than most of the people out there have ever known. which makes me the perfect person to come and show it to you in your home. It's been made in America for 110 years, and I would love the opportunity to earn your business. So midtnkirby.com, reach out to me there, and or follow me on social media, reach out however you want to, and I will put one of those shiny things in your closet. So now let's go ahead and get into the beans of the situation. I think I sent you the story that I want to talk about first, Daniel, and that is something, it's more on a national topic. And while we've got Will here, I wanted to get his insight. What do you think about DEI practices, Will?
Well, it's hard to know which situations are, but I do know that, it completely buries, merit in the ground, so.
Yeah. Have you been following where Robbie Starbuck has recently just not tanked Harley Davidson, but he has become a thorn in their side? Have you seen that?
Yeah, Robbie's become a thorn in the side of like a lot of the gender radicals who are trying to like, feed all this information to like young ages in the school systems and academia and all this stuff. So I know that's what he's like, a thorn in the side.
So living in LA, is it a diverse area, or is there primarily one type of race or ethnicity there?
Oh, it's very diverse, but I'll tell you this. I know you said a moment ago, you mentioned something of the direction of the Bible Belt where it's going.
Yeah.
I see the opposite effect happening in LA. I see a lot of there's a lot of people here turning on they're waking up from, they know that the communistic kind of like cause is being bundled with democracy, right?
Yeah.
And they're kind of becoming astute to this, and it's not just white folks. I'll tell you that. Like, it's definitely like, in my hood, you got a lot of Persians. They don't like this stuff. Like, Israelis, they don't like it either. Like, it's everybody's just like raising their eyebrows now, and it's a total opposite effect. And I see what's going on in Tennessee, in some of these like sticks towns. You got some of the most like unhinged radicals I've ever seen, like worse than you'd find here.
It's because they can find themselves on the internet now, and they can all connect with each other and find their little clique of sorts.
Yeah, everybody's positioned themselves to be like, they want to be in the faces of those that they believe are like on the opposite polarity, right? So it's like they position themselves or even move there, you know what I'm saying, to like for that purpose, you know what I mean? So it's like over here, people are trying to survive, and they can't even fill the tanks up, man. It's like,
I'll probably get canceled for this, but I've been watching a lot of videos on Russia lately, and I'm really thinking that I've got all of everything I've ever learned about Russia is wrong. They seem to be espousing a lot of the similar values, traditional Christian values.
Society, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah.
Sorry, just to finish, it's just kind of interesting to see how it actually is over there, based on people who lived in America and have moved over there, and they're talking about, guys, this is basically, yes, it's not perfect, no government is, but it's basically what a lot of the patriotic, the Republican, the conservative type people in the United States have been pushing for. It's a lot of the similar values. It's wild to hear it, but yeah. I don't know. I still think they might be a bunch of communists, but I'm starting to soften on that potential as well. I mean, somebody's saying that they haven't really been communist since the USSR fell. It's been a little more toward a capitalist, more like the United States that we know today. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that they were the most communistic during like post World War II, pre World War II, actually. Like, so, but
sure.
They haven't been like internally communistic in such a long time, and yeah, their society is like much more cleaned up than and much more ahead of the game.
I got sent a video,
not their leadership, but like the people, just the society in general.
Well, I got sent a video the other day, and it was like, what do you notice? And unfortunately, and I'm just being completely honest here. The first thing that I noticed was that there was like most of the people were white. And that's one of the things that we here in America. I mean, I don't know what it's like out there in LA. You know, you said it's pretty diverse, but you know, my entire life, it's never been all white anywhere. And I think that's one of the cultural things that we take for granted in America. But the thing that everyone else noticed, and I also noticed that it was impeccably clean, much cleaner than Nashville, LA. But so is, you know, most of Myanmar, and that's because they'll like chop your hand off if you litter.
North Korea.
Oh wow.
But the thing that I noticed is that everyone was fit. Like they were in shape. They weren't fat.
It's
And-
not processed foods. You know?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
non-GMO foods and stuff like that is what I've heard.
Well, it's that, it's hormones. I mean, I just see, and we're probably, you know, I don't know if we can drop Facebook already right now. I don't know if we can while we're in Rumble Studio. But if not, hopefully we'll just delete this stream then afterward. Because I think that the stuff that's going on is more the pharmaceutical industry. You know,
Oh, yeah.
how many kids are how many girls are on birth control before age 13? How many kids are on antidepressants or mood stabilizers or bipolar disorder? You know, the meds, Vyvanse, Adderall, something like that, before they've even hit puberty or right as they're starting puberty. And all you got to do is go to the checkout line at Walmart or sit outside a corner gas station for an hour. And the people that walk in there are oddly shaped. And I don't mean like just out of shape. I mean, it's not natural for like your thighs to be that big and your knees to be that small.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
You're not supposed to have muffin top over your kneecaps, you know?
Yeah, well, and even then, it's sometimes you'll see like they're not fat, like it's a swelling issue or something. Like I'm not even. Some of these people are. There's something wrong.
Inflammation.
Yeah, inflammation, or a lot of the time, I think it's a combination, and maybe it's hormonal imbalances that are just like, oh, we need to store fat for a later day. We're going to store it on this leg only, or we're going to store it like right in the butt. And it's so the reason I brought up the DEI thing is what do you notice about Netflix and everything and Disney? Everyone notices it now, but have you noticed how it looks like an episode of the Teletubbies? Everyone's a different color and gender, and
There's always that. Yeah, I think with the services, they're trying to get it in and just like push it to the most extreme they possibly can. But you know, I mean, hopefully it'll just go back to a balanced society once again, where everybody just has equal opportunity as opposed to this forced equity kind of environment we live in. But
so a couple of weeks ago, the reason I brought this up is a couple of weeks ago, about maybe 3 weeks ago now, 15th of August, I was sent some information from a test that, there's the DEI squad. I was sent a test from inside Advance Auto Parts. You know, you got O'Reilly's, you got AutoZone, and then you've got Advance. And, apparently someone else who my source knew saw that I reported on it. Robbie Starbuck gave me a retweet. And then shortly after that, somebody in the same location maybe got in touch with Libs of TikTok. And I have convinced them, and I'm sorry, Libs of TikTok, but you got to let the little guy win one once in a while. I have convinced that source to leak me all of the training material. I've got a couple of videos. I've got a whole bunch of slideshows and a couple of questionnaires. I will be releasing that tomorrow. But I have this one slide right here, and I wanted to highlight this. Because
I knew there was a reason I wasn't shopping at Advance Auto Parts. I'm an AutoZone guy all the way.
I'm a Rock Auto.
Well, yeah, Rock Auto when my pocketbook can't afford actual, local parts.
I mean, Biden's been in office for 3.5 years, so it's at least been that long, right?
All right, fine. I'm a Rock Auto guy. Jesus.
So undoing racial inequities. So we're going to play like science teacher here or English professor. What does the title of this slide require you to assume is a fact?
That the race formula is not equitable at the moment.
Give it a better shot. That wasn't a very good wording. I'm
sorry.
happy with you, Daniel. What about you? Do you think that this implies that all races are currently equal? Will, if you have to undo.
No, they're implying that they aren't. They're implying that it's like there's this deep rooted, institutional cabal that's like, that seeks to marginalize or whatever.
So when you lived in Franklin, okay, did you ever see? Did you meet a ton of racist people?
No, not at all. I never heard. I never witnessed any kind of thing like that. Most of the time, between them going to the bank, going to church, it was a colorblind society.
Come on, Will. Come on. They were all white. They were racist. You just not want to admit it.
No, not what I saw. Like not what I saw. Like just in going to places, whatever store. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying I haven't encountered it. I didn't encounter it like to where it's like, oh damn.
Based on all this, I really thought moving to the South that I would meet way more racists than I have to this day. But I think I've only met a couple of grumpy old men that just had some racial slurs, and that was probably about the extent of it. And this is I've been here for like 15 years. It's not as permeating society as everybody seems to think it is.
I've heard more of that in LA, honestly, like amongst all races.
I think it's one of those things. People are always going to, if you have glasses, you're going to get called Four Eyes. Daniel, how often have you been called a ginger?
Never, not once.
Never. Okay, so see, it's it proves that.
Why are you picking on me, man?
Well, you are a ginger. So the entire purpose, though, is that you're going to argue with people and you're going to mock or whatever people based on their differences with you. If you're a fat guy and there's another fat guy, you're not going to call him a fat guy.
Probably not.
You're going to call him Four Eyes or ginger or something like that. Well, if you're white, the most plainly obvious difference is probably your skin color. Same thing as if you're black, as if you're Latino, if you're, or what is it, Latinx? Isn't that what, the leftists want you to call them?
Yeah, it's trying to genderify, the whole culture. It's like, it's not sitting well. So
I picture it like, did you ever play Pokemon or collect the Pokemon cards or something like that as a kid?
No, because my balls dropped before that came out.
I picture it like, wait a minute, there's like a...
Sorry. No, I never played because my balls dropped before it came out, so...
Yeah. Well, okay, so I was still in like second and third grade when it was popular. That was when like the first set came out. Okay, and all trading card games are like this. You got like Magic the Gathering and all the other stuff. But at a certain point, kind of like sequels, they just keep putting new stuff out.
Yeah.
And it eventually just goes to hell in a handbasket.
This is why I stopped playing Magic.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Terminator movies.
They started doing too many things with it. They started trying to incorporate. Like I heard they were trying to take away one of the sources of magic was black or swamps, and they tried to change the word because
they did. No,
they did actually change it. Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's banned. There's a Magic the Gathering you can't use black, but that is a prime example. Eventually, if you keep trying to improve upon something so much as though you can control every aspect of it, you get this DEI thing. Now, I want to focus real quick before we move on to the next little bit. The bottom part of this DEI, okay, and it might be hard to see, so turn your phone sideways if you're watching on a mobile device, and if you're just listening on Spotify, well, I am going to read it, but it says, there we go, working towards a society in which people of all races have the power to make decisions about the systems and structures that affect their lives. What does it mean to have the power to make decisions about the systems and structures? It sounds like voting, right?
Yeah. I would say it reads really well. It always every one of these they always it's the language always reads well. I'll give them that. Like it's always meant to make you think that they have good intentions. It doesn't.
Yeah, it makes you go. Yeah, that sounds fair. That sounds right.
Exactly. And that's the first reaction we would have.
But so I compare this line to a different thing that I've had. Okay. Working in a society in which people of all races have the power to make decisions, that assumes that right now race is a determining factor on whether or not we let someone participate in making decisions about systems and structures.
Right.
And I just don't think that's happening. But this reminds me, the most racist people in our society that I've ever met are leftists. It's the people that when they see someone who is a person of color, okay, who's a different skin color, they look at them and go, "Oh, they must have had a horrible life because my life is so much better." That's the thought that goes through their mind.
It's a savior complex. I mean, it's and what you were saying. The one word that came to mind a couple minutes ago was overcorrection.
Yes, and that's actually why I got involved in politics. What were you doing during 2020? I guess I should ask you that.
I was still making music. I was like trying to do more live streaming and
dancer at a gay bar, right?
What's that?
Dancer at a gay bar, right? My memory is foggy, so
no.
That was the other guy you talked to on the internet, Daniel.
Right.
Yeah.
But so did your life change dramatically when COVID happened, or did you just get to focus more on what you were doing?
Oh, it changed dramatically. Like we all got a bird's eye view. Like everybody, not just me. I'm not going to say that I necessarily did, but we all had a bird's eye view of Zoom and what kids were learning.
Yeah.
In schools, like, oh, that's what you're learning. I'm not saying I did or not. I'm going to deny or not going to deny or admit that was my situation, but
yeah. But so
yeah, sorry, just to go back to this slide you showed, the last statement, working toward a society in which people of all races have the power to make decisions. It begs the question, of course, which people or which races don't have the power to make decisions about the systems and structures that affects their lives. Like when what comes to mind when you even think that? Like I feel like just people in general, just people who aren't the power structure itself are the ones that don't have the power to make the changes, even though we're kind of told that we do.
This makes me think that they could be. There's two things. One, you can look at it cynically, and with all the DEI rigmarole and everything like that, you could argue that it's Caucasians that are losing the power to participate. But that's a wild conspiracy theory. Okay. You could also argue that they are trying to make the workplace more accepting of people who might not be legal.
That's sort of more of what it's about. Like there's, you look at Chicago and black residents there are not very happy that illegals are taking their jobs. So it's like that's well, that's the point Trump was trying to make that didn't really come across right with the journalist conference thing. So like, okay, but I'm like, I could have scripted that better for him.
I feel like I could have too, but so and part of me thinks he intentionally says things wrong so that it gets more media coverage. Because when you talk to somebody at the bar or at the grocery store, you don't expect them to sound like some sculptor. When someone plants that idea in your head about whatever it is, in normal life, you don't expect them to be the most well-versed person. You take it with a grain of salt, or if you're here in Tennessee or Putnam County, maybe grain of methadone. But you understand that person is just trying to communicate a message to you. And I feel like he gets his point across, because I've talked to people who they don't think what he said was that bad. I don't think what he said was that. I mean, like you said, there's more politically correct ways to word it. But if you just try to think of someone just expressing a point, I don't think it was that bad. And he got loads of media coverage on it. And it happens so often that it can't be on accident. He's got to be manipulating them, whether he's good at it or not.
Maybe I always wondered that, and I'm always like, there are points where I'm like, oh, what the hell are you doing, man? You know, and then somebody will explain to me that, trust me, this is a psychological chess move. He's not a psychologically book smart guy. He's a psychologically street smart kind of like gangster, like, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm willing to like explore that rabbit hole. Oh, okay. I think I see what you're talking about. Let me stew on this a little bit. So yeah, there's been times I've been like, what the hell is going on?
We all realize, whether you're liberal, whether you're Republican, almost every, I don't want to call it fringe group, but every like outlier group, all the people whose opinions do change.
Yeah.
Even if their party doesn't change, they are fluid. They are paying attention. They're not morally irreprehensible or just drones.
Moldable people. They're people are more moldable than and willing to like.
They have all realized now that it's, you know, what I call the chosen sperm, the elites. Please use that in a song, by the way. You know,
Chosen sperm. I don't know. I'll chew on that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't chew on that.
I said chew,
not chew on the chosen sperm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
this has been your Patriot Punkcast's advice of the day.
But I call them the chosen sperm.
Hit that crowd pleaser button.
Yeah. So, but I almost lost where I was going. So I just feel like that is, I lost it. Guys. You made me hit
it's
the crowd.
Okay. I forgive you.
I'm holding on to it.
While you're thinking in this mad dash right before the show to try to get my internet connectivity established, I just realized this. Look at my hat real quick. I was crawling under the house.
I thought it was a Halloween hat or something.
I didn't realize how many cobwebs I hit on the way under there real quick. I was in a mad dash, man, but
you know,
I gotta see my hat.
That's a good idea. We should take some of that like glaze spray they use to like, you know, like harden up gloves or boots or whatever it is, you know, like I'm not a baseball player, and you need to like some lacquer so that it looks like a Halloween hat.
Yeah.
You
hell
know,
no, that's my tool hat, man. Hell no.
Tool hat. You must have had that long enough. You sure the cobwebs didn't like, you know, grow there naturally?
I just
it's a vibe, man. It's a cool vibe
this year.
No, I like them. But so if you are interested in more advanced auto DEI, all the slides, everything that I have, I will be putting out on Twitter tomorrow. And real quick, what we're going to do. So make sure you follow me at Real Patriot Punk on Twitter if you want to find out about Advanced Auto's DEI. Now, Will, I do want to give you a shout out because, you know, you're the guy behind the intro song that the people watching watch and see every day. Yeah, you're every time they tune into the show. And I've used your music in several things, always with your permission. What do you have in the pipeline coming up? I want to give you some chance to, you know, hopefully people buy some albums from you or whatever, download your music now. I guess you don't sell CDs.
Yeah. I mean, I might get some printed up if I like, you know, get I got an EP coming out. It's called The World They Want. That's coming out. I'm also getting a Thought Crimes 2, Volume 2. Trying to, you know, iron out these songs, maybe add a few more to the mix and spruce up a few more to like just like get the there's Ray Apps. I put him on my video. That's cool. And then I'm just trying to like iron out, spruce up a couple songs to like, you know, make like 8 to 10 songs like probably before the election, hopefully. I'm gonna have to kind of haul ass this week and just like grind, put the time in. You know?
Well, for people who don't know, and we got a little bit of a glimmer of it right there, if people aren't just listening, but what type of subject matter do you cover? You mentioned Tom McDonald, but I know you've covered like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. Have you done anything on the attempted assassination?
Yeah, I do have a song it's called Un-American Sniper. Well, here's the thing. I put it out and I went into those AI programs and I took my rap vocal.
Yeah.
and I turned it into Trump. I think I put it out like really last minute, and it didn't really like hit right. So I'm thinking about just like putting out my version of it, like, but it's called Un-American Sniper. That's the one I came out. It's a little bit like, it's a little rock hip hop. It sounds a little more band like sound than trap beats. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I waver between the two. You know, I have like one of my tracks is kind of like, you know, sounds a little more rock, like 21 Pilots kind of blend.
Yeah.
And then you know, little Tom McDonald, I mean, kind of like just, he was the first person I maybe like heard
that was addressing the,
it was political rap or whatever, right? So I don't know. I mean, we're still different, but
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Still quite.
I don't. You might look funny with blonde dreads. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
But well, so one of the other things that I want to do before we get into the next story is a few weeks ago, we covered a story on a family of 9 that was left without power because the electric company demanded that they take a RF smart meter. They had privacy concerns, which I can understand and appreciate. And then they also had some other concerns with radio frequencies and hypersensitivity to that. That's a subject that I don't know a whole lot about, but we were the first person to interview them. From that, they ended up going, they met up with like Children's Health Defense, and then they met up with Rebunked News. I don't know if you've ever heard of Rebunked News, but now, and I want to show this off, their Give, Send, Go, it looks like they are going to be able to get some kind of maybe solar power or alternative power situation, because their Give, Send, Go is now at $12,641 raised. That is incredible work. That shows the power of a small audience. And though it's not just my audience by any means, our audience shared it enough to where somebody saw it that was in a position to get it this kind of traction. And I wanted to say, good job. That is the entire reason I put stuff out. Despite popular belief, okay, videos like me standing outside of Eddie Ferris's office are not just because I wanted to do it. Okay. It's because I want to make a difference. And this, that success on a Give, Send, Go shows that we can make a difference, even if it's just a small one, even if it's just for one family. So give yourselves a round of applause.
That didn't work. That didn't work as well.
Yeah, do the Nancy Pelosi clap.
Do the jazz clap.
Do the Nancy. I feel like, never mind. I feel like there's a hammer joke in there somewhere, but
again, do not swallow the what do we call it? Don't chew on the
Yeah. So we got a comment real quick from English Rob. What are you into music for?
No, it's what's info for music.
He's wanting to know.
You know the stuff we usually ask you at the end of the show when we.
Yeah, but I know he has to pick up. He has to run here in probably 15 minutes, so I wanted to go ahead and give him time in the middle to plug his stuff.
10-4.
So, where do people, if they want to follow you, download some of your music, maybe listen to some teasers? Where's the best place? Go ahead and get your shameless plugs out of the way.
I'm actually following a few of these folks on my Rumble. So you can go by YouTube. It's just if it's the at KillWill C.
Okay.
That's kind of more of the hub. I mean, Spotify and iTunes too. So I mean, I have that.
Where do you make the most money if they download your music?
Probably iTunes. You know.
iTunes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
or
so
Bandcamp or something.
Okay, so go download a song of KillWill's, listen to it. If you hear any really good MAGA music in the background of some of my videos, chances are it came from Will. So, keep that in mind. support small local people. And like, you're originally, where are you originally from? If you're not from Franklin?
I was born here, but like my mom's from Texas, from like Houston. I grew up in Houston area, so a little bit, but then
Gotcha.
I went to school in Boston and then to Nashville and back here.
Gotcha.
So you've had a little taste of everything across the United States, then, ain't you?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Where's the best place to live in all that of everywhere you have been?
I got my eyes on Vegas. So my folks got like a rental spot out there, and I'm like, that's like seems to be like the cheapest area to live. Like, so I don't know, one day, maybe looking into like container homes or something like that, like revamping one of them, like those kind of things.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's the visions of our fathers and their fathers were a little different than what the visions look like now, weren't they?
Man, well, we could get it back one day, hopefully, if things go right.
Yeah, it's I don't know if we'll ever have the whole country back. Personally, I kind of feel like the only peaceful conclusion at some point is going to be for people to like shake hands and part ways somewhere along the line. And
you mean there'll be a couple of more independent nations?
Yeah.
Like Europe?
Yeah. So whereas Europe was on a path to merge under like the EU.
Oh, wow.
Now, America was already merged. So either someone's going to try to, and they're currently, centralizing all of that power. The only natural thing to occur after that is a decentralization of that power, either by choice or there's going to be some kind of a conflict. Not encouraging conflict,
that would suck, but yeah.
But it would probably happen, and that's and at some point, because we all know that there's not a big enough power structure to conquer everything. You're gonna have to allow an outlier group, and I just don't. I wouldn't want to live near a big city when that happens. At least not one that's purple. If there's one that's blue or solidly red, then you'd be all right. If the majority of the people in that area all think the same way, you're not going to have a whole lot of conflict. It's places like Nashville where it's blue smack in the middle of red.
Yeah. There's that little spot we talked about where they have like rainbow colors on the sidewalk. So it's not just blue. It's like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's got all of them.
I don't know if there was any indigo. And there was no fresh white.
Which is offensive to the indigenous people.
Yep. All right. So I know that the people out in Putnam County want to talk about methadone. Do you guys have methadone clinics out there in LA?
Yeah, we do. There's halfway houses.
Yeah.
They're meant to. I mean, it's a lot for like more. Around here, it's more alcohol. I think and cocaine and stuff like that. I don't think there's not a lot. Probably a lot of fentanyl people, but I don't know if there's not like the meth problem like there is in.
Well, so methadone, I believe, is an opioid like substitute for people who have an opioid addiction. If they're on Loratabs or Roxy's or something like that, then it allows or H or something like that. It allows them to transition to something that a doctor prescribes them. For those of you who don't know, it's basically if you suffer from addiction, you can go and get a pill each day from a doctor. You pay for it. That kills your craving, and it keeps you from ODing in a parking lot, theoretically. A lot of people criticize it because if you have a place where a lot of people who suffer from addiction have to go to treat that addiction every day, inevitably you get more people suffering from addiction focused in that area, driving to and from that area. There's arguments for increased traffic crashes. As someone who's worked with people who used to have to go visit a methadone clinic in the morning, whenever those people relapse, they've taken that drive to the methadone clinic every day. So if you have a nice fancy something that they can steal and they need money, it's not that all the people at that clinic are going to steal from you. It's that you're increasing the likelihood of one of those people seeing a crime of opportunity. And that has now come to Putnam County. So we've got this from News Channel 4. Methadone clinic approved in Putnam County despite protest by residents and sheriff. Sheriff Eddie Ferris was among the residents opposed to the city of Cookeville greenlighting a rehab facility. We could play the video, but I was there. Actually, let's play the video as long as there's not an ad.
Curious to see it. Yeah.
The fight to prevent a rehabilitation and recovery facility from being built in Cookeville, it was shot down last night. Several county leaders, including the Putnam County Sheriff, spoke out against the new methadone clinic. The sheriff says the clinic is a safety hazard and it's a concern for people in the community.
So
But workers with the Cedar Recovery Center say Putnam County is a treatment desert, meaning there are very few opioid addiction treatment centers and no methadone clinics in the county. We'll let you know when the clinic opens. Nashville.
Yeah. So basically, the I love how the news can make an entire piece, a production video, and everything, and not tell you dick.
No, they didn't lay a lot of details out.
No. Okay. So I sat at this. I found out. Well, let me just go into the whole story. So Tuesday, we decided to make a visit to our favorite county, Putnam, which Will, you don't know, but that was a sheriff that I've been investigating for about 2 years. Sued him in federal court, and and I know for a fact he's a perjurer, and he can sue me if he thinks he can prove otherwise.
Yeah.
But he is also corrupt. Other reasons. So I found out he was going. We went to Putnam County, held some signs outside his place, made some videos, all that stuff. Then that night, I got fortunate enough to read a Facebook post by him saying that he is going to be at this Nashville event to speak against the methadone clinic.
Yeah.
Now, what they didn't tell me was what time it was going to be at. So my sleep cycle was already off. I wake up at like 11 o'clock the night before, after napping, having been up all night previous. And I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock meeting that lasted until well into the afternoon. The methadone issue came up about 2 o'clock, 1:45, maybe 1:30. And in the time that I was there, I was able to ascertain what the real cause was, at least based on the information presented by both parties. So if you're from Putnam County, please clip this bit and share it with everyone. The argument made by the methadone clinic owners was that they originally wanted to put the methadone clinic in Cookeville and had allegedly come to the county leaders and said, listen, where do you want us to put it? There's a desert here. There's not a single methadone clinic. I believe this clinic owns and operates at least a couple across the country. And so they know what they're doing. And Cookeville, being ran by the chosen sperm, the good old boys, allegedly did some rigmarole with some zoning. And now in the city limits of Cookeville, you cannot have a methadone clinic, period, not even at the hospital. So they tried to go to Overton. Again, you know, they don't want to do business, allegedly, as they say it. They don't want to do business somewhere that doesn't want them. Well, Overton did not want them, and though he did not directly say they followed him with pitchforks and torches, I'm guessing that it was there. So they go back into the Cookeville area, Putnam County, and at this point, I think the guy's like, listen, we're opening up a methadone clinic, period, end of story. So just buy whatever piece will work, and we're going to get it approved. So they buy a piece of land. It is near schools. On the same road as a couple of schools. And apparently, I think the building that they bought, part of it is already leased out by a youth group, or the next door area is leased out by a youth thing. And now that's where the methadone clinic is going to be at.
So is Eddie saying he's against the methadone clinic, period, or just against the location of it within the city limits?
I think period. I think they're all against it, period, because they don't want it. That was the overall argument. Now,
yeah, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that shit in my town. But then again, I wouldn't want meth heads either. Here we are.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want criminal informants that.
Well, yeah. Besides the point, I'm just.
But so with this though, here's the problem. Okay, there's this thing called the Americans with Disabilities Act. Okay, and the Americans with Disabilities Act protects addicts as a protected class. So you don't get to use the excuse, we don't want that mess in our backyard. Your arguments need to be that there are already plenty of treatment centers for people who suffer from this. That's really the only leg you have to stand on.
Yeah.
After speaking with the assistant chair, I think it was vice chair, might not have been him, but I spoke with a couple of people during the lunch break having a cigarette, and it looks like they've been threatened to be sued under the ADA. Listen, if you don't approve it, okay, and to be fair, there's like 100 miles in any direction to go to a methadone clinic. So if you were on methadone in Cookeville, you got to drive to like Nashville or Murfreesboro if you want to get methadone.
Driving on it is people actually drive with it, like.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming so. And I think that there's some newspaper articles out. It seems that's how the sheriff is going to target people. Is make sure that there's no DUIs driving down the road. I think there's going to be a whole lot of rigmarole, but after hearing the man speak, I can tell you exactly why he pulled the "go to hell, we're doing this anyway" card. And that is because he felt that the government officials in his area were dicking him around, and he has enough money to fight them. And he decided to stand firm after he bought a piece of property. And the end result has been that though you didn't want it in the city limits, now you get it right on the edge of the city limits near some schools by a youth center. And I just feel like maybe somebody could have read the room a little bit, had better forethought, known, hey, if they don't get their way, they're going to sue us, or they're going to sue the board who doesn't approve. So we're going to get stuck with these people anyway. We might as well try to put them in an area where the people will understand. I don't know Cookeville like the back of my hand, but near a hospital, inside a hospital sounds better than next to a youth group, but I'm no expert. So do you guys don't have a bad addiction problem out there in LA, or you said fentanyl, or like what's that situation like?
Definitely addiction. I've seen addiction like in there's clinics in like in like Hollywood, like West Hollywood and stuff.
Are they like lined up like people are led to believe, or is it just just a clinic on the corner? You see people there sometimes, like.
No, it's just I don't see it like lined up or anything, but it's like a lot of younger people.
Yeah. When you walk if you walk into the bad part of LA, do you see people like all hunched over and zombified or sleeping on the streets, or is that a rare occurrence?
Sometimes I see veterans on the streets. I see like more older people who would be middle class, pushed out of their livelihoods. That's what I see more downtown. In Hollywood, I see like maybe it's younger kids, a lot
Kids
happen to be, LGBT and stuff like this.
Trying to get famous and just not making it. You think that's what's happening, or
no, they got addictions. They got bad addictions, so I think it's like their center that like helps with that or something like that. But also down in but downtown LA is different than Hollywood. That's like you have like garment district, and you have like
do you have beggars and stuff down there all like saying, give me money or
yeah, but that's the tents. That's tent city, you know what I mean? So that's like that's where you got the tent areas.
How big is y'all's tent city? Just
it's like Skid Row is what I'm talking about. So like that's I've come across people that I'm like, they're never in the situation where I don't think they have like a meth problem. Like those people, it seems like they might be, but they seem a little older. Like that's where I've seen veterans sometimes. Like,
see, I'm just curious because we all know that LA is much more liberal than Nashville, but my girlfriend's in the mortgage business. The only people moving here are from California. Some of them are political refugees, and we're happy to have them as long as they continue to, long as they understand what they were, refugees from. But there's another group of people that are coming here because you got Oracle or you've got Ford or you've got these massive companies coming into Nashville, and it's turning it into, a liberal hellhole. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been parts of Nashville that have always been dodgy.
Man, one of the biggest things that's missing from this entire conversation, in any form that I've seen it, is prevention versus cure. Because these methadone clinics, they are ostensibly just another way to play whack-a-mole with the drug problem. It doesn't actually solve it. It just kind of helps try to, solve the end result of all of the issues that led to it in the beginning. And the problem is the government is not the tool for the job. It won't be able to actually fix the root causes of these things. So the only thing they're left with being able to do is contemplate the pros and cons versus, of trying to play whack-a-mole with the
so for clarity, it's not a government methadone clinic. This is a private organization that's going to basically $20 a head. And to put it bluntly, it's legalized drug dealing. That's 100% what it is. Come get your fix for $20. Okay.
Got it. So as a private entity, they don't receive any kind of benefits from government or any kind of.
I haven't read their books.
War on drugs benefits.
It's health.
Kind of like
go ahead.
It's kind of like the chewing gum, like when people want to quit smoking, but it's like applied to the harder drugs.
Yeah. And the thing is I've known people who methadone is what got them sober, all the way sober. Now it's not. Okay, it was a vehicle. They wanted to get sober, and that it aligned. Kind of like there's people that I've known that have gone successfully through 12 steps, and I know people that'll tell you the 12-step program is a bunch of junk.
Right.
And it's each thing is personalized, and I don't think we need to ostracize a type of person because they have an issue. But I think you're completely correct. We're missing the boat on effectively.
No, we need to ostracize the parents of the people who raise these people.
Well, that goes back to another whole thing.
You want to listen. I know there's always exceptions, of course, but if you want to knock out probably 98% of the damn problem, it starts with childhood trauma. It does.
Yeah.
Or
and trying to medicate that away or trying to solve the issues through that.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Childhood. No, but here we. Here's the thing. Childhood trauma was way worse 500 or 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I promise you. But addiction wasn't. Okay. What's happened now, more children and more kids feel like they have trauma because we've created perpetual victims. It is now cool to be the victim. And not obviously there's exceptions for everything. But hey, I got my victim card right here. Like it's people like wear it. Like I feel like that's part of the whole alphabet agenda. Is
we can argue about we can argue about the specifics and the stats and whatnot, but I still just based on what I've researched and what I know to be true, the vast majority of the issue will be solved by focusing on early development rather than waiting until they've already developed a healthy addiction and then trying to help them get off of it.
Oh yeah, but what I'm talking about is a lot. They don't develop the addiction because of obviously not every time because of some massive trauma. I think a lot of them convince themselves that they suffered a massive trauma because, they grew up with an iPhone XR instead of an iPhone 16. They put themselves.
Yeah,
in the
I don't know.
I'm always a victim.
I'd be really careful about minimizing people's legitimate suffering because there is a lot of issues. I've never met somebody that was caught up on drugs because they didn't get the right cell phone from their parents. That's a gross under.
No, and you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying. Okay,
Sorry.
We have created people who feel like eternal victims. It starts with the cell phone. Oh, well, because they get brownie points for it. But eventually, what you get is in the fringe aspect of it. And I saw this growing up dramatically, especially it started more on the women's side. Social media is a big cause of that, or a contributor. They want to be they don't want to be the victim, but that is like the default where their mind goes, how have I been victimized? And when you do that, that puts you in a victim mentality where you're more likely to become the victim and put yourself in victimized positions. So they have experienced trauma. PTSD can be the same whether you were, missed a bombing in Iraq or whether you nearly fell off a balcony when you were 15. One might be worse, but the worst thing that's ever happened to you is still the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Even
You
if
you were saying something, Will, before I interrupted you.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is another rabbit hole. I had to go in a second, but I think we create a lot of victims. Also, in the education system, just cut the parents out and teaching them the gender radical stuff. That they're probably gonna go down the road and try this, get hooked on drugs. That's where it all leads them. It's like some of this stuff leads them there and leads them to other dark places. So it's like, not all the time, obviously. And to your point, Daniel, but
yeah, I get what both of you are saying, and I'm not trying to say that those things don't happen, but in general, it's just a part of the conversation I see missing every time we try to dream up solutions for the problems. Almost every time we see these, especially when it comes to going to board meetings and town halls and stuff where they're trying to decide where to put a methadone clinic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, one more time, Will, where can people find you on X?
Oh, well, right now, KillWill 1776, because my other one got scrapped. So I don't know how you do that on Elon's Twitter, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah, so KillWill 1776 on Twitter. On other platforms, it's just at KillWillC. So Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, it's all KillWillC.
Okay.
C is the letter. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. You're welcome to come back anytime, especially whenever you get that album, ready to drop. We'd love to have you back on to plug it. And let's make sure we don't have any more questions for you. No, we got the thing. Yeah. Hey, Will, we appreciate you being on. All right. Safe travels.
Sir.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Talking to you, man.
All right.
Yep. That's something else that I think I've noticed a lot, because I'm not disagreeing with you. I obviously understand people have undergone trauma, but as somebody who was in that, looking to be the victim for the longest time, it's like a sign of privilege. So like the more almost the more leftist you are, it's obviously not set in stone, but when you think of that spoiled, rotten, like Shrink's kid or something like that, that's just has no concept of life.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's the person that I'm thinking is perpetual. Those are, it's almost like crying wolf to an extent, to where it's desensitized people to hearing things talk about that. And I think that we present that to kids too, in terms of like the self-harm type of thing. I think people, oh, you're not worried about that, are you? And the kid's like 6 years old and has no idea what you're talking about. But now we have a society that's just planted that seed in their head.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I don't know if it's more prevalent in the right or the left exactly, but I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show here before, but I know I've spoken to you about it. Just a personal observation of mine, and I would love to find out if there's some truth to this, but I have noticed that anybody I've met in real life that goes by they them pronouns tends to be the victim of some pretty heinous trauma, like the worst of the worst trauma. And my theory behind that is something like this. It's something like when you have had your boundaries violated so much as a kid and even into early adulthood, embracing the pronouns they them, which are kind of ubiquitous. They don't really put you into a solid left or right, male or female boundary. It's very ubiquitous.
Do they prevent you from being Schrodinger's cat? Is that the...
No, I'm just saying there's something about having your boundaries, your physical and sexual, emotional boundaries violated that makes you kind of feel more comfortable not associating with any kind of particular boundary, if that makes sense. It's kind of more the psychological behind it, but that's just been my personal experience. I have yet to meet a they them pronoun person that hasn't been through, and I'm not saying they all have, but I'm just curious if it's been anybody else's experience.
yeah, let us know in the comments. I see with that's a tough situation on a personal one-to-one level. If you understand that that's going on with someone, then I can understand, if you're one of those person's friends being close, you might, you're going to try to help them in a different way. You might allow them to live in that fantasy. But for me, when you look at it as like a rational individual, what would happen if someone came to me and all that? I don't think it's good as a society. It's good that we recognize the signs of what that can be a sign of. I think that's important. Like what causes people to think that they're a they or a Z or as, whatever. Some of it is the urge to be unique and others could be genuine trauma. But I think that we don't need to normalize it because that is in effect normalizing the side effects of genuine trauma and accepting it.
100%. 100%. And of course, like you said, there is a lot of it that's social media trends and things where, kids are seeing it and going, oh, me too, especially in women, because they tend to fall into those social contagions a lot quicker than men do.
I know I'm going to piss some people off with this, but do you remember the Asian baby trend?
You talking about the one child policy? Is that
no. Well, I mean, so to an extent it tied in with that, but no, it didn't. Okay. It had nothing to do with that. That was the justification. It was trendy for rich, typically like suburban housewife type families to adopt an Asian kid. That was what it was trendy.
Wasn't that like early 2000s or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like after the whole birthing thing. Like, I think that was like played into it. It's like the honeybees. Okay. Honeybees are not endangered. They're not.
Wait, really?
Really?
I've heard that.
No. So and obviously there's a bajillion different species of bees. Okay. And are some that are, but if you look at it, like when that became a big thing, the best of my recollection, fact check me on this, is that the population, after some kind of an event, a breeding issue or something, their population hit the like nearing endangered. We're like, hey, you need to keep this on your, see, look, you need to keep this on your radar just in case. And then somebody was like, oh, save the bees. And what I think happened is a marketing guy saw, holy shit, did you see how successful that campaign was? Save the bees. I did not know a single beekeeper before the honeybees became endangered. Now I know like 7.
That's cool though. I mean, maybe it was a legitimate issue, and then they managed kind of correcting it by making it cool to own bees.
Yeah, but but the problem is that it was something that they were never at any danger of, but it was one of those, like, someone, when you see a problem, you're like, oh, we need to just have an advertising pitch to, hey, be cognizant of your whatever. It went really, be cognizant. It was really, really successful. And but you still hear people say honeybees are endangered. You have to save them. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Are you saying you don't know what all the buzz is about?
Yeah, I have no idea what all the buzz is about.
Mm-hmm.
And dad joke, we need a dad joke button, like a wah, wah, wah. Okay, so the last story that I want to talk about, this is one that might excite some of our Telegram followers and anyone who has an issue with Phil Williams.
Sorry, before you jump into that, let me interrupt you. Do we want to wrap up the show with one of KillWill's songs there that we had brought up earlier? Just from a production standpoint?
I think we should. Yeah. So
continue.
Whoever has been following Phil Williams, we've mentioned him several times on this show. It's no secret that he's a leftist. It's no secret that he is good buddies with the Southern Poverty Law Center, who calls Moms for Liberty hate group, and thinks that 264 racist flyers, which, like, I've handed out more business cards than that alone, is a terrible trend towards racism in Tennessee. They're entitled to their opinions, but what I'm trying to find out about is how these journalists can get so much stuff done within the government. Meanwhile, we report on legitimate acts of corruption with, all this stuff, and got judges looking at the stories and everything that we're putting in. No one does anything. So it's astounding. but don't know if you can bring this up. There was a
Which one am I looking at?
it's let's start with the DOJ, or no, let's start with the a white supremacist Patriot Front story. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So Patriot Front, everyone has been wondering, is the Patriot Front a group of feds? You know, they're the guys in the khakis that did one of the groups that did the march downtown holding the little flags and, you know, all the little Nazi paraphernalia and stuff. Well, if they are, not every one of them is, because one of their members is behind bars. Now, we're going to play this little bit from News Channel 5, and then we're going to explain to you what really happened.
A U.S. Army soldier is under arrest in North Carolina, accused of hiding his neo-Nazi ties. And now that investigation is leading right back here to Middle Tennessee and to last fall's campaign for mayor in Franklin. Good evening to you. I'm Carrie Sharp.
I'm Rory Johnston. That soldier was arrested after researchers linked him to a social media account that targeted people who were perceived to be enemies of then candidate Gabrielle Hansen.
And among those people threatened, our very own chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams. Phil, what do you know about this man?
Well, let's start with his name. His name is Kai Liam Nix. He's a 20-year-old soldier at Fort Liberty, what used to be Fort Bragg. But what hate group researchers discovered was that he was leading a double life. Kai Liam Nix, investigators discovered, was part of the Patriot Front, a white supremacist group that created a scene last month with its march through downtown Nashville. And investigators recently discovered that when Gabrielle Hansen showed up at a candidates forum last fall in the company of neo-Nazis, Nix was providing support on the right-wing social media app called Telegram.
Well, Kai Liam Nix, we found operating a Telegram channel called Appalachian Archives, which was later rebranded to American Archives. And it's a Telegram channel that was rife with neo-Nazi content.
Jeff Tischhauser, senior researcher with the Southern Poverty Law Center, identified Nix after months of investigation, after getting leaked documents from independent researchers.
But essentially, Kai was working behind the scenes, doxing people, so providing sensitive material about journalists, about activists that were engaged in trying to stop Hansen's campaign.
Among its posts, Appalachian Archives posted a photo of the home of a Franklin attorney who had criticized the hate groups, as well as info about the operator of the progressive Tennessee Holler news site, and photos from a neo-Nazi protest outside the home of a journalist from a national website who had covered the Hansen campaign. The protesters held up a sign declaring freedom of press is not freedom of consequence.
Bill, this guy was the one targeting you, making the threats, demanding that you post this video.
After one of the neo-Nazis recorded an interview with a member of Hansen's campaign, Appalachian Archives warned me of consequences if I did not comply with their demands to air the video. The post
More
ended,
drops
"This
will
is our
come.
only warning. Always watching, always listening, always near."
It takes a lot to shock me, particularly, in this world of tracking neo-Nazis. But that's something that was truly shocking to see.
As a result of Tischhauser's investigation, the FBI just arrested Nix for unlawful firearms trafficking, for selling 2 stolen weapons, and lying about his hate group ties on his background check for the U.S. Army.
What was he doing with these weapons? Who was he giving them to? We are safer now that Kai is facing this accountability.
So check this out. I was looking at when they were showing the social media post here. Where was it? Right about here. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that on the
consequences
screen.
If I did not comply with.
Pause it.
Okay. You can't see it on the screen, but because our pictures are covering it up. But the amount of interaction on it was 5 thumbs up, 1 flame emoji, and 1 prayer emoji. 7 reacts, 103 views. Like, holy crap, guys. If we're going to report on a story, can we at least make it one where there's actually some traction on it, where it's not
so
like
here,
a couple of douchebags in their basement, like
while you have that same screen popped up, okay, because this is important, okay? This is massive. The biggest news station in Middle Tennessee is covering this story as a special about this racist that was arrested after making threats. And everyone who watches this, basically, what they're trying to make you hear is that he threatened people. Here is the threat. If Phil Williams does not comply with the following, more drops will come. That means more information will be published. We will publish more articles, is what he's saying. Now, when you look at what actually the whole news story, Jeff Tischauer sitting there going, I'm just shocked. You see some strange and some weird thing, but this just shocked me. It shocked you that a guy that put information on the internet? What do you do for a living, Jeff? You put shit on the internet. And he was sending out sensitive information and doxing people. Isn't that what you just did? Didn't you get confidential information so that you could find an investigation into him selling 2 stolen firearms? How do we know they were stolen? I mean, I'm sure the feds do. I'm not saying that they weren't.
But Chase, when the hypocrisy is this close to their faces, how can they possibly see it?
No, but so here's what everyone's missing, okay? And this is the part of the story. I have it on. So I've been trying to get interviews with the Patriot Front people to ask them, like, hey, are y'all feds? Who is feds? The current story, the suspicions going around right now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the Liberty City 7? You might not remember it. It was from PCSO Exposed. A more recent example might be the Gretchen Whitmer case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is what they believe happened. Okay. That it was a setup. There's a comment that was left on the page, and I'm going to see if I can send this to you real quick because let's see. So you can pull it up. Yep. The person commented on News Channel 5's post. I know Kai. He's kind of retarded. That probably just got it kicked off Facebook. He's kind of retarded, but he's a harmless kid. The military has become increasingly insane about politics, though, so no surprise they'd be eager to kick him out. I'm not surprised they kicked out a white supremacist either. I mean, if you're going to live a double life, the military's probably not the organization to be in while you're doing it. I don't believe he'd even have access to stolen firearms. This almost sounds like he was framed or it's made up. Yeah, he wasn't charged with threats. He wasn't charged with that. He was charged with lying about his association to a hate group on an Army background check and unlawful either possession or sale of 2 stolen firearms. There's a DOJ story in there too you can bring up to get the actual charges. But this just stinks, especially there's some handles that they are looking into to see if those are the feds. They believe they may have the federal informant nailed down. And my thought is it wouldn't surprise me, first off. So I'm going to go on the assumption that the feds, they at least have time to look into this, right? So
yeah, you would think.
Well, they obviously do. They've arrested him. So they had time to look into the accusations made by a journalist or made by. So what's the excuse for not looking into the people harassing, Terry Hembry, Jasmine Woodson, those people?
Right. And am I correct in this, that they conflated 2 or 3 different groups, that they called them all neo-Nazi groups and try to make it seem like they were all just kind of the same bunch in this?
Yeah.
They brought up Gabriel Hansen, and the people that were out there were not the same as Patriot Front, and they weren't. That was Brad and his crew, right?
Well, I think Brad was there just helping, and then he got people from the Tennessee Active Club, and then the Tennessee Active Club is completely different than the Patriot Front, which is completely different than the people from Canada that were just in the Nashville jail.
Right. So I'm correct in that assumption. They're just conflating a bunch of these different groups and calling them all into one big bucket called neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know. I haven't interviewed the Patriot Front people.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure most of them probably are. It's stupid. Okay. I really, to think anyone is better than anyone else based on race or anything like that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be ridiculous if you want to be, though. And I haven't seen, personally, not saying it hasn't happened, but I have not seen any actual crimes.
I haven't seen a single person that uses patriot to describe themselves agree that it's a good idea to go into any kind of protest with a mask on. Most of them are very proud of their patriotism and will go in completely, here I am, this is who I am, so be it, arrest me. This Patriot Front just not, for all intents and purposes, just does not feel right. There's just I don't know. It just
I don't know what they're up to on the back end. Okay, but obviously they are being targeted. Okay, because the FBI is not going to look into the reports of some lowly reporter unless they have a reason. We know that because I'm just a lowly reporter who's reported things to the FBI on multiple occasions.
Oh, I wonder how many people who have tried to infiltrate the Patriot Front who are just like, how many of their members are just people trying to infiltrate to find out what it's about?
Well,
well, there's like 3 feds and then a bunch of people trying to investigate. It's
yeah,
like
there's like
journalists.
Yeah, there's like 3 journalists and then 4 other people randomly knocking doors for calls that, you know.
Yeah, and then a couple retarded kids that are also
but you know, a lot of people believe that the FBI is targeting people who are not all the way there. Maybe they're autistic or they're on the spectrum of some sort, or they have, you know, and that they're basically saying, hey, this should be a good idea. It's like the reason I brought up the Liberty City 7 was there's a documentary on Netflix. It was 7 people who were trying to rob Al-Qaeda. And the one guy that was the head of the group was trying to con the guy from Al-Qaeda into giving him stuff. Yeah, we'll do whatever you say. Just give us some money. The other people just thought they were conning him while the leader's like agreeing to do all of this stuff. Well, the people in Putnam County are tied into that case. That's the reason I always bring it up. That was actually the first of the Gretchen Whitmer type, where that kind of policing on the federal level became standard operating procedure. That is all thanks, in part, to Mike Gronkowski. He brags about it in front of the Counterterrorism Committee. And I'm trying to find a way, you know, people think, oh, Gretchen Whitmer, that's Michigan, that's long. No, the same stuff happens right here. Okay. The chances, and this is a little bit tinfoil hatty, but it's not unbelievable that Tish Hauser and all that, you know, they have connections and they were like, hey, this guy's, we don't like him. He came after us. Find a way to get him hemmed up on something. And his connections were smart enough to dig until they found something. That's what it sounds like. He pissed off the wrong people. And that's, I have to say real quick, I appreciate you, Daniel, and several other of you out there, because that's what we're getting into when we put our faces out here like this. You know, we are painting potential targets on our back. And without people willing to take that risk, then, you know, the bad guys win. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that it was an FBI setup, or do you think that the guy's just a 20-year-old kid selling stolen guns?
I don't really have that much of an opinion other than what was already expressed. But I do think those Patriot Front outfits are snazzy. We should get ourselves some. There's some well-dressed men right there.
Yeah, I don't know. There's
the whole khakis and the white masks and everything, like, and then the little hats and everything. Like, yeah. I'm thinking like ski goggles. I'm thinking like I'm gonna go like 80s style action movie ski goggles. I think that'll be a good move.
Paratrooper.
Yeah.
You know,
that'll be fun.
You're the backpack around. You just look like you're ready to jump out of an airplane. You know, I don't. I think that when you think that there's racists behind every bush, you see racists behind every bush, and you think that it is literally the biggest problem facing America.
Hell, I start planting bushes so I can have racists behind them.
I've heard News Channel 5's hiring.
Every dollar you donate to the Patriot Punkcast this evening will go to planting another bush behind which we will hide racists.
Not really. Legal disclaimer. No, it'll probably go to buying gas.
Can you imagine that clip pop up 10 years from now as we're reaching prominence and people are starting to try to take us down?
Yeah. Oh,
just
Lord.
Planting racist bushes, man.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So I do want to play one of Will's songs. So if you want to find one of those, that would be great. While you're pulling that up.
I've already got it brought up. I got a couple more links for stories that you had sent about the Covenant school shooting, and then one for the Fort Liberty soldier.
That was the Fort Liberty soldier we just talked about. But the
gotcha.
Yeah, let's go ahead and touch on that Covenant school thing. We'll just make it really fast. The Nashville police have confirmed that the Covenant school shooting investigation remains ongoing. You know, we're working on a skit about open records requests and all of the different just bullshit excuses that they give you when you're filling an open records request. And one of them is that the records don't exist or that the investigation is ongoing. Well, if the investigation's ongoing, they can't compromise it. But what are you investigating? If she had an accomplice, it's been a year and a half. Okay? Don't piss on my back and tell me it's raining. Like, you're not investigating anything unless she was part of an organized group. If she was part of an organized group and you're trying to infiltrate them, releasing the manifesto is not going to compromise that unless she's mentioning the group, at which point withhold those papers. Unless you think members of the group have seen her entire diary and that would tip them off that's who. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I think they're full of shit. Honestly, I think that's really the case. Is that they're full of shit. They're saying that when they retrieved the so-called manifesto, they started off telling us that there was nothing pertinent in there. Then they've been investigating it this whole time. Then they claimed copyright. Which I don't think is going to hold up. Now we don't even have a clue when it's going to be over with. They can't, normally they would say we suspect our investigation to be concluded within 90 days or something. Especially the only subject is dead.
This feels very much like there's something major that's going to come out, and all they're trying to do is kick the can down the road so that maybe it won't hurt so much for whoever it's going to hurt. Maybe people will have forgotten about it by then, which is very possible.
They are experts on controlling the news segments. You hear some people talking about it now. People have realized that the attempted assassination on Trump was obviously like that should still be being talked about mainstream news every day. But it was like, what, a week, and we're talking about Kamala or something like that. They hijacked the news cycle. So I bet they're saving this for an opportunity when they have a bird in the hand, or they're going to kick it down the road as long as they can, and then take it out of the news cycle straight away so that the average person doesn't see it and the average person doesn't let that sway their position. Because you've seen the ones that have been released, right? Some of the pages. Oh,
well, you're talking about Steven Crowder, the ones that he had?
Well, there's those, but no, the Tennessee Star got a hold of like 70 pages of it.
Oh, no.
And like she's a loon. She is a nut job, a complete certified, need the EpiPen nut job. So, but yeah, that's, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think they're really investigating something? I mean, are they investigating an accomplice? I don't think anyone dropped her off outside. I feel like anything else that's going to come back, if someone was sending her money, if someone was waiting to pick anything that's in those manifesto, you've had it for a year and a half. You should have been able to look into it by now. But
mind if I bring up a topic real quick?
Yeah, what you got?
And a short one here. So I made a post earlier today because I keep hearing about this Aurora, Colorado. I don't know if anybody's heard about this, but apparently what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, I know this has nothing to do with Tennessee, but it very well could if we go the same way as they're going. But anyway, I posted Aurora, Colorado. I'm not even worried about it. They voted for it. And for those who haven't heard about what's going on there, is apparently there are some Venezuelan gangs that have decided to overtake certain areas of the city in Aurora. I went back and looked, and I found out that back in February, the city of Aurora, announced that they are a non-sanctuary city. Insofar as they were getting a lot of the overflow from Denver, Colorado, if I remember right. And they were like, we can't support this many people coming into our areas because Denver's getting overburdened, over too many people. And so Aurora, the officials there are going, no, hey, we can't take no more. A few months later, we have an issue coming up where we have Venezuelan gangs taking over areas, fully armed military weaponry and that kind of thing. And I've even heard something like the Hells Angels motorcycle gang are on their way up there. I don't think there's truth to that, but I have heard from a few different sources that it's very possible.
Well, so here's my thing. I get like your premise that like they voted for it. And I understand that. But did they really? And do you think that the guy who owns his land owns the apartment building? Because, you know, what they did is they came in and they started collecting people's rent instead of him and drove him out. They have control of 3 buildings, last I heard. And they are wandering the halls with whatever makeshift rifles that they've got. And it looks almost like something out of a sitcom. But that person, you know, I don't think they didn't know. And I understand where you have to be willing to accept responsibility for the things that you did wrong and realize where your shortcomings were. But I don't think that it's like, well, you get what you deserve type. I think that's the wrong attitude to have. It's one of those things where I would like to help you if possible. Your county, whatever it is, should help you. But we need to be aware that that's what could happen here if you're not involved, or if you get so disconnected.
Yeah, the reason it came up in my mind is because I'm thinking, you know, Nashville, we've heard mention of them potentially becoming a sanctuary city, and it's very possible that it could overflow into areas like Murfreesboro, for example. And if I found out, you know, Murfreesboro, 15 minutes from me, they've got, you know, Venezuelan gangs taking over whole apartment complexes on U.S. soil, you know, I don't expect people 3, 4, 5 states away from me to feel bad for me. We probably saw it coming. We saw the writing on the wall, and us as local citizens chose to do nothing about it. And as a matter of fact, the people that we voted into office are the ones that enabled the policies that allowed this to happen in the first place. And nobody's actually standing up and doing what they need to do. We're not actually taking the physical force, if necessary, to remove these a-holes from office and put somebody in there who will, you know, actually follow the laws that we set in place as citizens, right?
Yeah, I think you need to be careful with the physical thing, like completely careful, you know, because especially since we're on Facebook and YouTube. But I get what you mean.
Yeah, non-violently, of course. I mean, just go up there and grab them, you know, take their shoulders and carry them out of the building, and gently put somebody else in their spot where, you know, who will actually do the job as the voters intended they do.
Whereas I get that, and I think it would be easier. I think that that's why they keep getting in, because they're trying to do everything they can without getting to that point. And I don't think you can avoid that at a certain point, you know, hopefully not in our lifetime, but, you know, it's not looking too good. Eventually it speeds up so much that, you know, the end result happens. Whatever is going to happen happens. Either someone is conquered or they are overthrown or something. But I don't know. I would hope that people around here see, when you talk about the Nashville issue, Nashville has more money in their city taxes just from their revenue share of things than most other places. So they have enough money to fight fire with fire. They have their own budget. You know, part of the thing about being their own municipality is they can fly the people in themselves with connection of the feds, and even the state people don't have any power. And we have to find a way. And I think the way is to show up, is to be places, is to put pressure on the individual, on their political supporters, you know, make it to where people have to own all the decisions they've made as representatives, because eventually you can regain some of the reins on these people. And I think that's the only chance we have not to have Venezuela.
I'd like to edit my previous comment. Saying that they voted for it is probably inaccurate. I think the culture that we have, where we're so focused on national politics and very, very much less focused on local politics, a lot of this stuff is allowed to go under the radar. And the voters may think they're voting for one thing, but they're getting something completely different, and they're not engaged in their local politics. And I just encourage people, if you even got the idea that something like this might be happening in your local community, you know, get involved. Start participating in whichever way possible. You know, I don't know how else to do it. There's got to be some return to locality that we're just not seeing right now, and as a result, these things can happen on a global scale. You know.
Yeah. That is the thing, is I think part of the reason we have so much attention on national politics right now is 100% by design. You know, local newspapers all went out and they got bought by places like Gannett. That's why, you know, the Jacksonville news station and the DNJ out of Murfreesboro, Jacksonville, Florida, are owned by the same company. same editorial decisions get made at the top. So, and it controls the narrative. That's why you can't get stories of real corruption out anymore, or unless it's something that, you know, Shill Williams wants to put out, is because you don't have actual local news anymore. But that Give, Send, Go that they had with $12,000 in it, can you imagine what would happen if we could get even one bit of that support?
Oh,
That would,
for sure.
that would,
for sure.
we could hire people. We could like genuinely contract hire people to write stories about different counties. And that's why we hope that you guys share the show, so that, you know, it hits the same person that got that Give, Send, Go going, because that's what we need.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm very happy for them that they were able to get that support that they needed.
Oh, it proved to me that it can happen. It proved to me that there is a way for the little guy to actually come out, you know, victorious. I don't want to say on top, because
I know what
they're still going to have to do something about, you know, not having an electric box at the thing, but maybe they find an alternate route. But that shows that it can happen, and I think that's really important. So, well, go ahead and play a video, and then, or I'll tell you what, let's wrap up. Let's go ahead and shout our handles out, and then finish with a video, and then we'll finish with the outro. Just so
that works for me.
Where can people find you at, Daniel?
Well, people can find me at Unframe of Mind on all social media platforms, and those are the places you'll find me having uncomfortable conversations without a condom. If you want the real spicy stuff, head on over to my X feed. I've been trying to tone down and tame my Facebook feed a little bit.
Yep.
That.
Same thing. If you watch this on Facebook or YouTube, cool, because we're going to delete it as soon as we're done with, so we don't get any strikes. You can follow me on X at Real Patriot Punk. Everywhere else, it's at Patriot Punk Network, except Facebook. You'll have to guess if you want to find me on that. As always, never mind the bollocks and watch the Patriot Punkcast. Here is KillWill's video. Let's see. I'm going to turn my camera off.
Here you go.
Hey, remember the Alamo? Took out an army like dominoes, outnumbered and outgunned, like the battle of Jericho. Sounding the horn loud to the ears of the overlords. Now they're breaching the walls. They want us to fall and submit to a foreign crown. I know they're making bets while they're making threats to sovereignty, while trafficking drugs and women and children and sell them all into slavery. Yeah, they call you intolerant, hollering over the top because they can't win an argument. They want a war that they'll never win, sweating the river they drown it in, claiming they're saving democracy while pushing the various policies. I save you the speech and the sentiment, they never see all the hell that we're living in. Treading the water, but letting the snakes on the plane, it's alright, we ain't getting it. We'll take a stand with a last chance. When you crash land, watch it firsthand. The line in the sand, God save this land, till the wolves that go back home. We're under attack, forever we'll stand. Remember the Alamo, time to defend. So that we have.
What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments.
From the brazos to the sea, the devil don't sleep until we are free. So remember the Alamo.
Check your phone.
They sprung a leak up in Eagle Pass, while 26 governors got our back. We're standing up ground and we checking facts, while they putting us last. Our media's lighting the fire, but we got the razor wire intact. Every time that they cut it, yeah, we know who done it, then we put it back. We know the operation is part of a plotted invasion. Fighting HBOs deployed at the border, foreign militias, the new world order. Poison the soil when they plant the mortars to come for your blood of your sons and your daughters. Replacing the nation and all the foundations our children possess when the government raise them.
Maybe we can get Will to let us do a music video.
They bringing in people just votes. They lace it with Fanny, Molly, and Coke. Using diversity like a currency. World economic arm insurgency. Kill all our freedoms and overthrow. Greatest nation on earth. We've been sold. The line in the sand. God save this land. Till the wolves that go back home. We're under attack. Forever we'll stand. Remember the Alamo. Time to defend. It's all that we have. From the brazos to the sea, the devil don't sleep until we are free. So remember the Alamo.
Fantastic.
Yep. Oh, I think it was pretty good too. It's I quite like it. Go check his music out. KillWill C on YouTube and on Twitter, or X, whatever it is. You know, hey, we appreciate you guys watching. Smash that like button, share the show with your friends. Never mind the bollocks, and watch the Patriot Punkcast.